I look short and also crazy.
How could I have written anything so bad?
That's what I would tell the IRS if they came for me, which seems more likely every day because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me why I thought it was Saturday this entire time. My revision is due tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Lindy Jung. I am a soon-to-be traditionally published science fiction and fantasy author. My debut novel comes out fall 2026 from Bloomsbury US and Rey UK. I almost made it there. Hello and welcome to a vlog that I have literally been daydreaming about making. It is currently the morning of June 9th and today is a very special day. This week is a very special week because it is my first week in so long with like almost zero outside obligations. My next semester of grad school, my last semester of grad school, doesn't start until next week. I actually took my licensing exam on Friday, passed it with flying colors, so I'm free there, but that was occupying a lot of my mental energy. If you've been watching this channel, you probably are at least semi-aware of how full my plate has been this past year with grad school and student teaching and work and content creation and writing, and I feel like it has in general just been a really long time since I was last able to focus on my creative pursuits, like really give my full energy, time, and attention to those things. Knowing that this kind of freedom doesn't come around every day for me, I am going to prioritize content creation and writing, but mostly writing, and I'm going to treat them like they're my full-time job. So for this entire week, I am going to be living out my full-time author dreams. That means, yes, like really aiming to dedicate myself and my time to writing and to content creation and to getting this darn revision done, but also it means specifically letting myself kind of indulge and be indulgent and really bask or let myself feel this accomplishment, this major goal of like selling my book to a publisher. Even though it doesn't feel like I had anything to do with that, my agent kind of did all of it. Despite achieving literally probably my main life goal a couple months ago, or 6 months ago at this point, I really haven't had that much time to bask in it and to enjoy it and to really absorb what that means for me. To me, this boundary has always been what stood between myself being, you know, just a writer and feeling like a professional author who is taken seriously. So yeah, I'm gonna let myself enjoy it for a little bit, at least for just this week, if nothing else. And by being indulgent, that means going to cafes and doing like FaceTime writing sprints with my friends, reading, and just kind of filling this time with creativity and with writing and with, yes, a little bit of content creation because your girl is unemployed. I think that pretty much sums up my goals and intentions for this week. Not too much structure to the days. Again, we're not really doing 40 hours a week, like 9 to 5 writing, because I think that would just kill my enjoyment of this week and kind of defeat the purpose, but I am going to be running around a bit, so you'll see more than just this home office space that I've kind of been living in for the past year plus. I have actually an interview sort of thing with a small YouTuber, Paul. He reached out to me a couple weeks ago to set this up, and we're just gonna have a little chat and make a video. And then after the interview for lunch, I'm hoping to head down to maybe grab a bite. But first I have to make my breakfast tea/coffee because I don't drink coffee anymore. Wait, why did I say that? I should have had caffeine before filming this intro. But first I'm gonna make my breakfast tea so I'm a little bit more awake and present. And that's gonna be the morning, and we'll kind of see how the afternoon plays out. Okay? Bye. Hey, honey, look at the camera. Look at the camera. I'm like a pageant blissed out right now. You're so beautiful. Okay, I have to hop onto the— oh my gosh, hi. I have to hop onto my call with Paul right now for our video, but I just spent like the past 2 hours cleaning. You know, no writing got done, but I do feel a lot better. My living space, or kind of like home office space, hasn't been properly tidied in a little while. My like cabinets and drawers were a mess, so I just kind of took the time, cleaned and organized everything, and yeah, it feels a lot better. A lot less dusty. So I'm gonna hop on that call with Paul. I think I'm running a little late, but I'll update you guys soon. Paul!
Hello. How you guys doing?
The first time that I queried, I was like cold querying, and then I ended up kind of impulsively, you know, going for a Twitter pitch competition called DV Pit that now runs, I think, on Blue Sky. They're doing it on Blue Sky this year. Hi. Okay.
I just had to do like a million things to get this microphone to connect directly to my camera, but I think it is connected now, so that's exciting for me. It's around 12. I just finished up my little interview slash collab video with Paul. It was for an episode of his podcast, The Delos Diaries, and it should be out by the time that this video comes out, so I'll link that down below, as well as Paul's channel. It's always really fun for me to chat writing with other writers. He had some really good questions that I honestly haven't been asked before, so I really had to think about them, and I think it'll be a pretty good podcast episode. So in other news, I haven't written, I haven't revised. I'm currently debating going out to a cafe for like a lunchtime kind of excursion slash writing session, but we'll have to see what happens because my partner might come, and if he comes, then I can't stay out. We have to come back because he technically works a job or whatever. For me, the hours in which I like to go out to a cafe and write are almost exclusively the morning and early afternoon. I did do productive things this morning. They just weren't necessarily related to writing my book. But we are going to get on that. One way or another, I am going to spend the rest of this time revising. I am currently, and I'm saying this now because I didn't really update you guys on what I was doing with mods earlier, I'm currently in Act 2. So I'm revising, going through, resolving comments on Act 2. I think I should email my editors to let them know that my estimated turn-in date is Monday, but I might hold off until I've kind of like gone into the document and figured out what I have to do because I don't really know, honestly. It's been a minute. I have been kind of procrastinating on this one because I feel like it's so much less of that big stuff. Like I'm not rewriting scenes, I'm not really adding anything or removing anything major, and it's all kind of nitpicky stuff. I feel like I should be able to crush it in a couple days, but like, do I want to do that or do I want to spare myself a little bit of grief? Either way, you know, we're gonna get this revision done, right? As full-time writers do. So I'm gonna figure out what I'm doing. I'll bring you guys along. Bye. I got scammed into going on errands.
You got scammed?
I got scammed by you.
This is errands. We're going downtown.
This is your vlog debut, by the way. No? Who's they? You're my only viewer.
Your loyal followers.
You're my only viewer.
That's true.
Alright, let's do these errands. Hi, this is VoiceOver Lynn here to provide some context. So after our little errand slash caffeinated drink run, I came home and settled into work mode. But what you're seeing here isn't me actually revising or really doing anything that I'm supposed to be doing, but instead it's me setting up a revisions chapter tracker for MOTHSBLOOD. I probably should have done this in advance. I like to do this especially during the revision stage, especially when I have a deadline. Basically all I do is make these little doodles in my bullet journal to represent each chapter of the book, and then I color in the doodle every time I finish revising that chapter. It's a cute and simple way to activate the reward center of my brain throughout revisions and stay on track. I tried a couple of different versions of the chapter tracker and ended up with what you see here with this fun gothic font. Once I finished setting that up, I dove back into revisions, so sit back and enjoy some mechanical keyboard typing noises. Hi. Just got back from the errands that I was literally scammed into doing. I still feel like I'm not quite in the headspace to write, and I have a lot of admin kind of things to do, low-key, like checking YouTube comments, responding to comments, which you wouldn't think eats up such a huge amount of my day, but it kind of does. I usually spend the morning looking at YouTube comments, and sometimes I respond to them as I pop up. I try to be like engaged with people who are taking the time to watch my videos and comment on them. I'll do lunch and I'll do admin, and then hopefully that like frees me up to write a bit, but I do think I need to read before I write right now because I'm just not in the headspace to look at a book right now. So that's me being honest. I've been reading a couple things, kind of, not necessarily for vocal training because I'm kind of past that stage. I'm revising and line editing rather than drafting, but to kind of just like remember what good prose is, I've been rereading Strange the Dreamer. I'm about a quarter of the way through. In my head, because I read this as a teenager or like in early college, these books are so explosive and like full of drama, but they're a lot slower paced than I remember them being, which I kind of like because it really is the slower moments that build up that allows you to show the depth of the characters, and the characters in these books are fantastic. If you haven't read Strange the Dreamer, highly, highly, highly recommend. I'm also going to read Muse of Nightmares after this because I just got my copy back from Danny. And I've also been reading An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This is a dark academia. The vibes are very dark academia so far, so kind of reading that on the side as well. While I'm on the process of like doing show and tell, I've been journaling a lot more lately. So this is actually a journal that I started in 2022 when I was living in Costa Rica. I actually bought this notebook in Costa Rica in San Jose. I was really diligent about journaling while I was studying abroad, and then I was like never diligent again. Lately I just kind of fell out of the habit, so I'm trying to build that up again because other than just like being able to remember and record what happens each day of your life, I think it's a really helpful tool for introspection, which has been kind of a theme in my life lately. Yeah, time to eat, time to do admin. I have been watching AuthorTube videos throughout the day because, I don't know, especially with like my friends from the retreat, it is so nice sometimes to just hear their voice and see what they're up to, and of course to like support their channels as well. So I have been kind of getting back into the habit of having AuthorTube videos on in the background. Yeah, that about sums it up. I'm hoping I get out of this like weird reluctance. I think I just have to like push myself to just start and then I'll be okay, but I am feeling a little bit of hesitation to go back into the book, which is what happens when I take too long of a break. So never doing that again. I probably will, but still. Okay, bye.
Good. I was so tickled.
Oh my gosh, okay, let's lock in. Let's lock in. Oh my gosh, you are so cute. Shut up. Cody, are you at work?
Yeah.
Okay, we will not say a word. I don't know why my camera insists on shooting in what looks like widescreen like every time. Anyway, hey. So I just finished up a lovely little call with Taylor from Taylor and Write and Cody from Cody the Writer. I don't know, we kind of just like to sit on FaceTime and like silently body double and work. So I was kind of like responding to YouTube comments, and then I went into my document. So I did break that barrier. We are in the document we are in. We're kind of locked in. And I finished revising chapter 8, so I cleared all the comments there. And I'm so far finding that I can address like all of my editor's little questions for me. She mostly likes to leave edits in the form of questions, like what is your reasoning behind this, or what is the character thinking in this moment, rather than like put in this sentence and write it exactly like this, which I really appreciate, but it also forces me to think, which is good. But also like, you know, I'm thinking. But I realized as I hit the end of this chapter that I really should make like a chapter tracker. So that's something I usually do with like every revision. Not sure why I haven't done it with this one, but I can show you guys an example of my chapter tracker from the revisions I did. I like want to say this was with my agent. I don't know, but this was like an example of a chapter tracker for revisions that I did previously. I did another one with clouds for the revision that I did for my editor, and I think I'm gonna do it for this one too. I can kind of see why I didn't set one up already, just because I kind of figured because it's such a light revision, I don't necessarily need to keep track of the chapters, but I think it is a very helpful tool just for like understanding where you're at. So I'm gonna set that up real quick, and then I'm going to dive right back into it. Bye. So partway through my writing session, my partner's new office chair got delivered, so we spent some time building that. Hashtag women in STEM.
Chair
Exhilarating.
footage. Right? Chair footage.
Well, we built it. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, it was time for the gym. I recently renewed my gym membership, and I've been making a serious effort to go 3 times a week and push myself as hard as possible every session. I'm mostly focusing on a combination of cardio and strength training, so like lifting weights and things like that. And honestly, I hate to say it, but
Everyone who says that exercise is good for you was right. It's always been difficult for me to find the time and space to exercise regularly, but I'm about 2 months into this new habit now, and it really has made a noticeable difference in my energy levels and overall well-being. And honestly, the gym is such a great place for me to brainstorm and let my mind wander, so it's been helpful creatively too.
Okay, disaster averted, I think. Hi. Please don't fall. All right, just got back from the gym. It was fine. We've been trying to work out more and like eat healthy and, you know, be grown-ups about our physical health. I'm gonna shower real quick, but then I think Becca and Mick and I are going to do a sort of like evening productivity session. So I am mostly through chapter 9 in terms of revisions. The chapter tracker was definitely helpful, and also I think I kind of ate. You know what I'm saying? I think with this like big, like the font that says MOTHSBLOOD, for me, it's always been like pretty easy to copy a font with handwriting if I can like see basically the alphabet written out in that font, and then I can kind of copy each word from sight, or each letter from sight, if that makes sense. So that's what I did. I just looked up like Gothic font, found an alphabet that I liked and copied it. And it's cute and I like it, and it's motivating me to kind of get through this dang revision and be done with this book. I will say the other thing I'm feeling, if we're talking about writing and feeling and stuff like that, oh gosh, this vlog is gonna be so long. But the other thing I'm feeling is kind of like this impatience. Like I wanna be done with this book, not just because I've been working on it for a really long time, but also because I want to work on Project Crips. I want to work on Project Crips so bad, and I don't know if it's just a symptom of me not wanting to work on mods, or if it is a genuine desire to work on this project. But I do think it's a genuine desire to work on this project. But obviously I'm holding myself back until I can get this revision finished, turned in, and also finished in a way where I feel good about the work, feel proud of it, because I do suspect this is going to be one of the very last times that I really get to leave my mark on this book. So I really want to comb through and make sure that it is the best possible work that I can make it at this point in time, with the caveat that this will be my debut. This is my debut novel, and I know that I'm only going to get better from here. MOTHSBLOOD is just sort of a symptom of the person that I was when I wrote it. And that's like a beautiful thing, right? It's also kind of interesting to have to stay with that person and keep that person in the back of my mind as I continue to put work into this novel without like changing its initial identity too much. I don't know. That's all very like philosophical, existential stuff. Maybe I'll do a video about it. I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of what's going on. I'm super excited to call Becca and Mick later and like catch up. That's it. Gonna shower now and have something quick to eat. Goodbye. I'm gonna have to make this quick because I woke up late, but we are heading out to the city. Basically what's happening is my partner has a full day of work. We're gonna carpool, and I'm just gonna spend his entire workday, so like 8 hours, running around, going to different cafes, and writing, and trying to get a good amount of this revision done. I think if I'm goal setting, I'm going to be bouncing around, and I do have a few errands to run, so it's not going to be 100% writing, but I think I want to wrap up Act 2 today and get into Act 3. I think that'll put me in a really good place to finish this revision more or less by like end of this week, start of next week. Maybe. And I do know that a fair number of my friends are free today, so I will be hitting up some of the AuthorTube besties so that we can like sprint together, maybe just like sit on a FaceTime. And yeah, I picked out where I would be hanging out today. The weather's kind of overcast over here, but we'll see how it is in the city. And yeah, that's what's going on today, so let's go ahead and run out there.
Oh, okay. So Alex built all this stuff. Oh. Oh no, no, no! There's room for both of you.
I caught myself thinking about you today. I was sad, smiling, thinking about you today. Sitting here, hungry for a little bit more, a little bit longer to sit in the dark. Wandering, wandering in fluffy chest bits, deeper than shallow thoughts. Feeling dizzy in this car. trail.
Okay, maybe like the worst angle ever in any vlog in history, but we're working with it. Hi, it's like lunchtime. Like, I have been at this cafe for close to 4 hours. I was on call with Taylor at one point. I was on call with Cody. Check out both their channels. They are such wonderful people and such amazing writers. I finally ordered Cody's book, The Ghostwriters Club. I am so excited to get my copy in a couple days. I've just been churning away through edits. I did finish Act 2, so we are on track, I think. It was pretty straightforward. There were like a couple of questions that my editors had for me that took a little bit of thinking for me to work through them, honestly. One in particular that had me stuck was that the main character, Lark, at one point is like, there's no way that this other character who she has a complicated history with is going to do this particular action. Sorry, keeping it vague, but then he does. And then my editors pointed out that there was like no reason for her to think that he wasn't going to do that particular action. So I had to like justify that, and I think I did okay. I don't know if this is focused on my face. It's just little things like that, like logical errors, inconsistencies. I look insane, actually, in public right now, and that's okay because we're YouTubers and we make it work. But I'm super happy that I'm done with Act 2. I feel like Act 3 and 4 might... Like, traditionally, those are the acts of this book that I hate the most. Like, they always have something off about them that is just really troublesome to fix. I do think the last dev edit that I did with my editor for Acts 3 and 4, I now kind of think they're like some of the strongest parts of the book. Maybe, maybe not. So I'm kind of excited to dive back in because low-key, I think I've forgotten what happens in them and what they're even about. So we're gonna dive into Act 3 this afternoon. The first half of the day went by so fast. I forget that I'm such a morning person and I really am kind of the most productive and sustaining in terms of energy in the morning. So I need to take advantage of that better. But anyway, lunchtime, afternoon writing. Let's go. Hi. A little pro tip for anyone who is in my exact situation, which is that my partner and I carpooled into the city today, and I was like, okay, I'll drop him off and have my whole day with the car, and then for the last hour, I'll park the car at his workplace and then walk to my favorite nearby cafe, which is also a bar and also a bookstore. It's like the best place ever, and I'll spend the last hour working, and then he can use the car and pick me up and we can go home. The little flaw in that plan is that I have the keys and he does not have keys. I'm gonna hang out here. There's only like 30-ish minutes left in his shift, I think. So I am totally fine just being in here, hanging out, filming footage of my... Never mind, actually. I'm not gonna do that. So that bit in the beginning, that like 4-hour chunk from 9 to about 1 right before lunch. So that was pretty much the only writing that I got done today, but it was a really long chunk of time. I got to obviously like FaceTime with Cody, see Taylor a little bit. I did say to Cody that I would be available again in the afternoon, and that turned out to be a complete lie, so I'm sorry, Cody, if you're watching this. I hit the end of Act 2 with the revisions, and I feel good about what I got done. I do think I have a little more gas left in the tank, so depending on how I feel when I get home, I may or may not try to pop into a sprint or something and try to get a little bit more revising done. But I do still think it was overall a success, right? Like, kind of trapping myself in this way, forcing myself to spend the entirety basically of like 9 to 5 out and in the world and not at home where there are like a million distractions. That was helpful for me, for sure, especially in that morning chunk where I was physically present in a cafe, not much to do other than like write and do admin stuff. So I got it done and it was good. And I'm also so glad I stopped by the bookstore. It was kind of on a whim and I'd like heard about it, I think through Reddit or something. And it literally just opened a couple months ago. The owner that I was speaking to was so nice, invited me back for like an author event at some point when MOTHSBLOOD is out. Looked up my YouTube channel, so on the off chance that you're watching this, thank you. And it was like really wonderful to talk to you today. It was like a very small interaction, but it meant a lot because that was the first time I've told a bookstore employee that I write books, and that feels kind of momentous because those are the kind of local community level connections that really matter to me and that I haven't quite started to develop yet because I am so new to the area, but that I really do want to keep developing and you know, just expanding upon, because my area actually has a lot of really wonderful, really adorable, as you probably noticed, independent bookstores and some wonderful, passionate booksellers and book people. And I mean, it seems like a really great community here. So I think I'm gonna sit and I think I'm gonna read for a bit. Haven't really decided if I'm going to start A Dark and Drowning Tide or The Starving Saints. I think I am leaning toward The Starving Saints. That's what I'm gonna do for the next 30 to 45 minutes here. And then we'll go home and see how we're feeling. Bye. Hi. I don't understand why this camera goes like widescreen every time I turn it on. But hi, it's currently Wednesday, it's about 10:30. I actually just finished filming a craft video that I hope to get out by Sunday. We'll see what happens there. My instinct right now is to just edit the video and get it done with, but because editing doesn't require a lot of brain power and I need to use my morning brain power on something actually productive, I think I'm just gonna jump into revisions after I take a little water break, basically. I should go outside. I should go to the cafe, get some pretty footage, and just hang out there for a little bit, because otherwise I'm going to rot. Outside of revision work, editing work for a video, I don't have much planned for today, so hopefully I'm able to get a lot done. My goal is to get Act 3 fully revised, I think, at least by the start of tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. That's pretty much it. That's the whole update. My voice is kind of wearing thin because I've been talking for an hour. So I'm gonna save my voice a little bit, my vocal cords, and talk to you soon. Bye. It's currently about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am so ready to lock in. I sent out a warrior's cry on Discord on our little AuthorTube server being does anyone want to freaking lock in with me? Maybe I say that too much now. I have my afternoon energy drink. I discovered that Crystal Light comes caffeinated, those little packets of lemonade and juice. They taste horrendous. This just tastes like straight Red 40. Red 40. I'm gonna tidy up as I kind of get ready to work here. Nope, just kidding. That would be crazy, you know? I mean, yeah, it was nice, I guess. I went to that cafe, which is really a favorite of mine. They make a really decent iced matcha for this town, so I like hanging out there. They have outdoor seating, and because it's theoretically summer, I sat outside, only for it to immediately become hot and humid. You know when the sunlight is hitting your laptop and you can feel your laptop becoming boiling hot, and it just isn't a good time for my skin, for the laptop, for anything. But anyway, so we're locking in for the afternoon. I got 1 chapter done at the cafe. 1. I was there for an hour. And then I get home and of course I immediately have to do chores, which yes, chores are a part of adult life. And I feel like any day that you're at home, whether or not you're working, you end up doing chores. At the risk of sounding like a small child, I really just don't like it. I'd rather not, you know? My brain really struggles to switch contexts. So if I do a chore, even if it's a 15-minute chore, folding laundry, I have to take 30 minutes to mentally switch off of the chore mindset into the writer/vlogger/work mindset. It's very disruptive to me. So I prefer to have a chore day where I just do chores the whole day or the whole half day. But that is not my lived reality. So let's go ahead and get started because I've been procrastinating long enough. Wish me luck. Bye. So I did find a way to access TrackBear again by just making an entirely new account. Sorry to anyone who joined my spring writing challenge. I was unable to update it for the past
2 months because I was locked out. But I made a new Trackbear account and I kind of just set a challenge for myself to write at the bare minimum like 30 minutes per day, which is not a lot, especially for right now. I'm happy to say I'm exceeding that amount like every day. I also just kind of like to know how many hours per week, per day, per month, per year I'm sinking into writing. I like statistics, okay? I was in STEM. So the way that I'm tracking that has been more effective with the stopwatch versus timed sprints, and I don't entirely know the reason why. Maybe I just don't like a countdown, okay? Maybe I just don't like that kind of prescriptivist pressure, okay? Maybe I just like to go until my brain stops working. I found that I am way more productive for way longer with this because I'm also not really watching the clock. And I also was just journaling, as one does. And I wanted to read you guys a section because I was kind of like just reflecting on my writing process and specifically talking about what V.E. Schwab's podcast was like helping me realize. She's interviewing all these famous, well-established authors across various genres, authors who put out 5 or 10 or 20 books over the years. And as I was listening, I was like, holy shit, I want that. I think I kind of lost sight of the goal, the dream, after finally selling MOTHSBLOOD because that singular achievement was my focus for so long. I mean, I always knew I wanted to keep writing books, but it's different to have an abstract concept of a thing versus to see it being lived out by people and being made reality. I ate with that, no, just kidding. It's just my silly journal. It really does sum up how I've been feeling this kind of like listlessness, this lack, and honestly, people tell me that I don't seem that excited about selling my book, and I am. I'm so excited about MOTHSBLOOD as a book. I'm excited to have sold. I'm excited to have made that accomplishment. But when you've been pursuing the same singular thing for so long, and I was so single-minded on like selling my debut novel, getting an agent, like all the steps leading up to the acquisition of MOTHSBLOOD, I think I did lose sight to a certain degree of the bigger picture of this bigger idea of actually having a career as a science fiction and fantasy author instead of a one-off book. So that was really helpful for reframing and just seeing examples of these authors' lived experiences, hearing their stories, how they got there, or the ones I listened to, which was really only 2. It was Margaret Owen and Jessie Q. Sutanto. Their stories are not like, hey, I popped off with my debut, immediately made $1 trillion and was set for life. They really worked to build up their career from a book that, sure, performed well, but wasn't an immediate success that propelled them to being a household name. I think I do have a lot of anxiety about how well MOTHSBLOOD is going to perform, but it's really out of my hands. I mean, I know my team is going to do the absolute best they can. I'm going to do the best I can. But at the end of the day, my job is to keep writing and to keep growing and improving as a writer. These are the thoughts in my brain right now, thinking a lot about writing as a craft, as a career, the intersection of those things. Something about that podcast really clicked something into place, so thank you, V.E. Schwab, for that.
I need to look this up because every time I set up my shot and then I actually start recording, it randomly just zooms in, right? Just like zooms into my face and the shot gets messed up, and I feel like now every shot with this camera is a super big close-up of my face. It is currently Thursday. I am back in the city. I'm actually in like a suburb adjacent to the main city. I don't know why I gatekeep this information. I live in Wisconsin. I'm in Fitchburg, which is a suburb of Madison, which is the capital of Wisconsin. I don't actually live in Madison, so I feel like it's fine to share that information. But anyway, I'm in the city for the day because it's another work day, commute day. I came to a cafe in Fitchburg. I hit a random one that looked cute, and it was very cute, but this is like a very residential area, just is housing developments, and then like sometimes the housing developments are kind of pretending to be mixed use. But I wrote for like at least an hour, about 11:30, so I've been here at least 2 hours. Now I'm hungry, so I'm going to go get lunch at Oasis Cafe, which I've never been to before, but apparently they have really good pelmeni, so excited to try that. The weather's really disgusting right now, like it's hot, humid, and overcast. overcast, so I honestly don't mind an overcast day, but to be hot and humid on top of it, we're better than this. So I'm gonna head on out to get some lunch, and I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Oh, for writing updates, like actual writing updates, I got a chapter done, and I kind of finished a second chapter, so I'm like at the tail end of Act 1. There's just some stuff in this chapter that I'm not loving. I think it's like chapter 14, where I just think tonally I can tell that I inserted a scene during my last revision and it doesn't match the tone of what was already there. So yeah, I need to take a look at that. I need to figure out some logistical things. This part of revision is kind of boring for me because it is so much logistical, logical stuff, and I feel like I'm not exercising the creative part of my writing brain as much as I would be with drafting or even earlier stages of revision. I'm itching to feel creative rather than feeling like I am nitpicking and pulling at strings. Obviously, you know, I'm very grateful to be doing this process with my editors, and it's a very necessary part of the process. Like, I want the finished product to be a book that makes sense. But we're gonna keep going because the sooner I'm done with this, the better off I'll be, I think, because if I can just hold off a little bit, like hold on to that urge to be creative, to put words on a page, then that energy will build up, right? And hopefully when I go back into Project Crips, which is currently being drafted, it'll explode out of me. That's my theory. I like to repress myself and then see what happens. And I think I actually will carry this vlog out until the end, until I turn in my revision on Monday, because I was originally like, okay, full-time author Monday through Friday, but if we're being realistic, being a full-time author, especially a full-time author on deadline, you're gonna be working weekends. I've yapped enough. Let's go get lunch. Bye.
Extremo y violento, mi falta de conexión. Busco remedio, algo espiritual, hechizo, pociones, algo natural. Estoy tocando así, tratando de hacer la paz. Life's spinning out of control, feels like I'm stuck in slow mo. Me vuela la mente, lazo que trascenderá, mi camino iluminar. Tell me where things on my turn out alright.
I don't think I know anything about this camera. I already filmed a take of this update and I had to delete it because I was shouting. I was so angry at the freaking camera. But hello, I just came out of the Book Deal, which is a used bookstore in Madison, and I got two things, so a little show and tell. I am currently reading The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss for the first time. I know that is controversial, but this was $5, so now that I have the second one, maybe I will finally finish the first one after years of procrastinating. And also it was $5, and my parents are immigrants who taught me to always go for a deal, so I got this. And then I also picked up The Principle of Moments by Esme G. Kimmy Pearson, who also has an Author to Presence, a really wonderful channel, very high quality videos about her life as, like, you know, past debut, kind of like slightly more established author. And this is the Illumicrate edition. They do stuff like these gorgeous sprayed edges, and then the inner cover has art. Oh, the inner cover has art as well, and it's really pretty. And I am like a magpie that loves pretty things. And I do realize that you have now seen me purchase 5 books this week. That wasn't normal for me. I would still say it's not normal. I will say that ever since I went to an accountant for the first time in my adult life, like first time ever, and she basically was like, you need to find more business expenses because I don't rent office space. And honestly, for a lot of like AuthorTube and author stuff, like you buy the expensive equipment once and then you pretty much don't have to buy it again. I don't have like subscriptions that I just don't have a lot of expenses that can be written off on taxes that are pertinent to my business. I put that in quotes because I make self-employment income in the eyes of the US government, but is it a business? No, it certainly is not. But anyway, she was like, you need to find more business expenses. And I was like, what could that possibly be? Like, I look short and also crazy. I was just like, what could possibly constitute, you know, a business expense? And then I did some research and I found out that for an author, books can be a write-off. Books are a business expense. They are technically research materials because every time I'm reading a book, I'm learning, right? And I'm researching how to better write my own books. That's what I would tell the IRS if they came for me, which seems more likely every day because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But all that is to say that ever since then, I've kind of become a monster with buying books. Like, I feel as if I can self-justify the purchases so much more. So I also try to like sell my used books pretty regularly. Like every time I have a pile of maybe 10 or 12 that I finished, I donate them or sell them. Now I'm going to go over to Leopold's and try to get some more work done. I was working a little bit at Oasis, which was like the second place I went to for lunch, but I was sitting outside and it just was like the vibes were sweaty. The vibes were very sweaty, so I just didn't get all that much done, although I did wrap up a chapter, and then I had to run and get my pencil pouch back because I left it at the first cafe. Of course, obviously, I'm doing a really good job at being an adult today. It's 2:30, so I'll have about 2 hours to sit there, write, wait for my partner to get off work, and then we'll be headed home. And that's it, kind of, for the day. All right, talk to you soon. It is Friday. It's around 11, coming up on 11:30. Yes, I rolled out of bed very, very late today. Just wanted to give you guys a little update on today. It's not going to be a very interesting day for you. We'll see if it's interesting for me. I'm really just going to dive into my revisions. I also have a video to edit and upload by Sunday, but it's a craft video, which doesn't take me very long to pull together, so I'm not too worried about that. The main goal for today is really just to like get through Act 3 and as much of Act 4 as possible. And then I feel like once I'm a pretty good ways into Act 4, I will feel really comfortable about where I am and like how much I can get done over the course of this weekend. I can like fully focus on making sure this revision is tight and what I want it to be. It's a 5-act book, but the reason that I'm saying that once I'm through most of Act 4 I'll feel good is because Act 5 historically has been my like favorite child. It has never really given me too much trouble. The ending of this book, the way everything culminates, has been pretty set since the beginning. I think it had like one big edit that I did. I just like saw myself in the viewfinder. I'm like, what was I saying? Oh, there was one big edit that I did to Act 5, like with my agent. So the first revision that we did together, I changed like the climax a little bit. A fair amount, actually. That was it. Like, I haven't really made a big change to it since, I don't think, just really small ones. So yeah, Act 5 is my favorite child. Can't wait to get to her because I know she won't give me trouble. But overall, I think today is going to be pretty visually boring because I'm literally just going to be sitting at my desk, alternatively walking at my desk with my walking pad and just trying to get like as much of this done as possible. One thing that is happening today is I am streaming at 6 p.m. with another author tuber, Sierra. We're doing something really fun. Basically, she has this like random prompt spinny wheel and we'll spin it and then land on a prompt and then write a piece or a scene or a short story for like 20 minutes. And then read it. I've never really done anything like that before. As a slow writer, maybe I'm a little nervous. I don't know. But it sounds super fun and it's definitely a unique stream appearance, so I'm really excited. You guys have seen me like go on 2 other people's streams, channels this week, and I'm also streaming on Sunday with Becca and Taylor, so you guys will see a bit of that. And yeah, I mean, just a little note, I guess I'm super grateful to have found a little bit more of a footing in the AuthorTube community. Just feeling more comfortable in making friends and making new connections has been really a good source of joy for me. Anyway, let's go ahead and stop dilly-dallying and get to work because I need to drink my tea and get to work. This is serious business, right? This is my career. Let's go. Hi, just wanted to pop back in with a little update before I get some lunch. I just had like an hour-long FaceTime where we just kind of body doubling. I think I mentioned before feeling like dissatisfaction with some elements of this book still, which I really wish I wasn't feeling, but I really took the time to like sit down with my notes. I have like a page of notes that I wrote just like questioning Lark's motivations and their continuity and consistency, because I think it's very normal for goals and motivation to shift, and I think that's one of the interesting parts of the book. There was a lack of clarity that I was feeling as I was doing this reread. I was kind of like analyzing how those goals and motivations shifted and what would prompt those shifts. I just like wrote out basically her trajectory and what happens to her and the different pivot points that occur. Just mapped out her journey, basically this internal journey that she goes on. Everything is there, all the bones are there, but I just want to make sure that they're really clear. And I think there's a little bit of self-interrogation and internal monologue where she thinks about her decisions and like, I don't know, there's just some fat that could be trimmed to make sure there's a bit more clarity, and maybe I can like tweak some lines. Unfortunately, this does require me going from the top down, and I kind of don't think I'm going to be able to continue the rest of this revision until this part is done, but I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to start at the top of Act 2. I've already made some very slight, like 2 lines have changed in Act 1 to kind of put in a little detail that makes sense as to why she is thinking this way and making the decisions and honestly self-justifications that she does. Act 1 is clear, I think. I'm going to start at the top of Act 2, just kind of work my way down and look for opportunities to really make things clear. Not gonna lie, I also started mapping out a little bit more of crypts because I wanted to map out the relationships that like the main family has with each other, basically what points of tension exist before the main character comes onto the scene. My new kind of outlook on this project is that the main character is like an instigator, like she is causing problems on purpose. That's really fun for me. I feel like I've never really written a character like that. Excited about that. Obviously I have to finish this revision first, so that's the rest of my afternoon. It's about 1 o'clock. My brain kind of hurts, so definitely need a break. Time to eat. This is my last update for today. So I literally am just fresh off of a live stream that I did with Sierra D. Hill. I wanted to like mention this because I've been doing a lot of streams this week, but this has got to be like the most unique stream that I've done. I think I mentioned it. We had like an array of prompts and they were all horror themed because it's Friday the 13th, which I didn't even realize. They were all put on a spinner. We spun. My prompt was a single mom who looks after her child, unaware that she already died protecting that child. And I had 5 minutes to brainstorm, so I just kind of like vomited everything onto the draft. And then I wrote a short story for 20 minutes, which I did not finish, but I got very, very close to finishing. And all of it was like live. So I shared my screen, people saw what I was typing as I was typing it, and I've never really done anything like that, never really shown my writing in such an early stage or my brainstorming process, or frankly, like as someone in more of the traditional publishing space, you can't do those things. So it was a really cool exercise, and it kind of took me by surprise how quickly my brain snapped into place. And it's a cool video. You can watch the playback if you would like to. So that was the evening. I'm now about to go and probably make and eat dinner. And unfortunately, today was kind of another wash. I did not make any forward progress, it feels like, in the actual revision of Moths. But Cody invited me on to another stream tomorrow on his channel, where he's basically going to stream until he finishes his revision. So it's going to be like several hours. And that sounds perfect. Like I need something like that. I need to body double. The most I got done today was when I was just like on FaceTime with Becca. I don't know what it says about me that I'm now starting to be like reliant on co-working with other people to get stuff done. Today, honestly, like I wasn't feeling very well, looking at the news and seeing stuff that's going on, hearing things from my friends in California, not feeling like people in my life that people I care about are safe. It's kind of a lot of stress. All that is to say that yes, I think I really need this like long stream to be accountable, at least for like the sticky part of this revision, the part that's really throwing me off. Right now it is chapters 16 and 17. I have got my eye on these chapters. They are so troublesome, but I do think after my brainstorming session today, I do want to go back and tweak some stuff, make sure everything aligns with my intentions for this character, for this project. That's it for today. Bye. I'm in such a rush, I can't even. Oh God, why is it so up close? Get away from me. I'm hopping onto the stream with Cody now. I'm 20 minutes late, got caught up with some stuff, so I am going to jump in right now. Cody is going until he's finished. I would like to go until I'm where I wish I was, which is in Act 4. Again, yesterday was a bust, unfortunately. I mean, he invited me on to do this yesterday, and I figured it'd be a good opportunity. And it's Cody and Taylor, obviously two people that I adore very much. So excited to pop in. I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's go.
Hey, okay, so this is officially Sunday. We went into the next day. I lost a bunch of clips from Saturday, all the clips basically of me updating after the stream because I'm still figuring out how to use my lav mic. We're not judging, we're learning, we're growing. This video is long enough as it is already. Anyway, my partner and I started out Sunday in the best way possible, which is by getting a couples massage using some gift certificates we had left over from Christmas. Honestly, it was glorious and the perfect start to a day that was going to be full of writing yet again. I did want to mention that Saturday, the day that I did the live stream with Cody and Taylor, I finished chapters 16 and 17, which were my problem child chapters. So I was in a really good place on Sunday, the day before my revision was due, and I was feeling pretty optimistic.
It's disgustingly warm. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Hi, so I figured I have a stream in about 30 minutes. So I figured I'd do a little get ready with me and chat. I'm getting ready to stream with Becca and Taylor. Yesterday, I capped off the day by getting to the end of Act 3. It took actually an hour and a half to get through chapter 16 alone, and then some change, I think, and I'm still like, what is going on with that chapter, you know, but I think I managed to kind of get to the bottom of the issue, and it was a lot of thinking work. I would like to look over it today to make sure that I just didn't like do something in the heat of the moment to actually not improve anything at all and just feel a sense of accomplishment. What's funny is that after chapter 16, nothing else in Act 3 was really a problem at all. I don't know how that happened, why, but I breezed through the rest of Act 3. Again, I would like to look over it just to make sure. I'd like to look over the whole book, really, before I turn it in tomorrow. My top priority is definitely just going through Act 4, making sure everything is sorted there, addressing all of my editor's comments, and then I'll do a last pass. Oh, and there's also an Act 5, but we're not worried about her. So that's gonna be my prerogative for the stream, and likely for the rest of the afternoon. I've been kind of taking evenings light. I just am not a very productive person in the evening, but I've also been like waking up later than I usually do and not making the most of my mornings, so I think I need to kind of like stop giving myself the evenings as free time, or at the very least like read or something, because I've just been playing video games and being a nuisance to society. For this upcoming stream, I'd really like to get 3 chapters down. I think that would put me in a good place for the rest of the day. I am also planning on making full use of tomorrow. It is a very difficult balancing act. I've never really had any type of job that allowed me to work from home. I do know many people who work from home and really enjoy it. Personally, I think if I ever get to the point where, and like the whole point of this experiment was to really consider like, could I be a full-time author? I think I would need to like have a physical office or a co-working space or something where I could spend 8 hours a day. Home is just too distracting. There's just too much other stuff to do, and it's all important stuff, you know, like housekeeping and laundry, but during the workday when I'm just able to kind of dismiss myself basically and be like, well, I'm just writing, it's not that important of a day, I really have a tendency to just break my own flow and go off and do things, which sucks because I feel like I really like my home office space, but it's just not like the sanctuary that it needs to be for me to get work done. Like, I don't mind full-time writing, I like the work of it, but it's just that the work can get waylaid so easily. You know, I definitely enjoyed this experience, and I'm supremely grateful that I'm in a position where I can just kind of like have this as an experiment and I don't have to like rely on my productivity as a writer to survive, because girl, I'd be dead. I'd be in the street. I think one of my, not insecurities, that's too strong a word, but something that I've been consistently sort of anxious about as I'm like becoming more, very incrementally, but becoming more of a writer as like a profession, I'm just worried about like the speed of my output. I'm very slow because I am a perfectionist, and I feel like we all hear horror stories about fantasy writers that are so slow that people get mad at them. I'm a baby and I don't want anyone to be mad at me. More than that, it's like existential. I want to write all of the stories in me. I want to put them out of myself before I'm dead, and there's quite a few in there, so sometimes I wonder if I'll be able to do that, you know?
Like, will I be able to write everything that I want to write before it's my time to go, whenever that is? Okay, here's the final, well, hold on, I need to be able to see. Here's the final look. Just have a little bit of green on the under eye there. And we're gonna stream. Tell me why I thought it was Saturday this entire time. My revision is due tomorrow. What am I gonna do? No, it's fine. The stream was wonderful. Becca and Taylor were joy to stream with, as always. I got 4 chapters done. We are halfway through Act 4, which puts things in a pretty good place, I think. Because now that means I only have 10 chapters left, and like 6 of those I'm not particularly worried about. So yeah, I think I'm in a good place to maybe like finish off this part of the revision tonight, and then go back and look over things tomorrow and just like tidy everything and make sure everything is good before submitting it by end of day. I've been kind of like keeping tabs on how much time I actually have spent writing these past 10-ish days, this past week basically, and I'm going to calculate all of that and see how much actual writing time goes into full-time writing, or how much has gone into full-time writing this week, and if there's any way to adjust that or do better, or like, I don't even know. But yep, for now, food, stretch, I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. I'm very tired. Bye. Hey, just wanted to do a quickie update on my phone here and say that I did get to the end of Act 4 just now. Act 4 is pretty solid. I think that this is really where I think the emotions have the most clarity, and you spend a lot of the book like building and building to this point where things do become clear for the reader and for Lark, the main character. I just think it has a really good emotional trajectory, and the payoff at the end of this act is strong. I know Act 5 follows a similar trajectory, or it like continues off the emotional trajectory of Lark's arc in Act 4. That's so funny that that rhymes. And I remember Act 5 being just as solid, but Act 4 was like a problem child for me for a while, so I'm really happy with how it looks in this kind of like close to final version. So now I really just gotta make sure that Acts 2 and 3 shape up. I mean, honestly, the problems in this book are really exclusively confined to Acts 2 and 3. Everything else I'm really happy with, and I think that, yeah, this was a reminder that this is a good book. And yes, I am getting sick of it. I am so sick of looking at this dang thing, but it's a pretty good final product. So pretty cool that I don't hate this part of the book. And I'm honestly on a roll, so I'm just gonna continue into Act 5 until someone tells me that I have to stop or do something. So yeah, I do kind of want to shower because I didn't realize that I'm like covered in massage oil. Like I'm oily. It feels a little gross. So I might rinse off a little bit, you know, just to not cover my entire chair in oil, which my partner ordered this chair online and didn't like it, so I get it, and it kind of matches my aesthetic and everything. So free chair for me, not for him. He did pay for it. It's a nice chair. It's definitely nicer than the other one I was using. Okay, bye. Okay, time of finishing my first pass for the revision. 11:25 a.m. I finished up the last couple chapters that hadn't been looked over. Before I turn it in, there are those specific sections I want to go back to, just to clarify, but wanted to give you guys a little update. We're done. I'm going to show you guys the filled out version of my chapter tracker. She's so beautiful. I used brown and yellow because those just felt like mothsy colors. I do think that the last act is really good. The last 2 acts really are a breeze to get through. I can really see the clarity in terms of just cause and effect, you know, of each chapter, each scene, each beat, the decision making that the characters are faced with. I think the last couple acts are really fun, and I am really proud of them. And as writers, you know, we're not very good at celebrating ourselves, so that's me celebrating myself. I will say that I hate Acts 2 and 3, and while I was in them, I wanted to perish because I was just like, how could I have written anything so bad? But I don't think they're that bad, and I know how to fix them. So that's gonna be my little like afternoon project after Spin Shack and groceries. interrupting the regularly scheduled programming to show you guys that my copy of the Ghostwriters Club came. This is by Cody the writer, and I'm actually so excited to read this. I hear it's so good. And of course, you know, Cody is a beloved friend. I have to get it signed the next time I see him, but I just wanted to show you guys. So excited for this. I just turned it in. I just did it. Moth's Blood is turned in. Let's go into the outro. Let's see if I can get this a little angled a little better. Hey, hi. So obviously I have turned in my manuscript. I've turned in the 4th overall and 2nd official as in it was with my editors, revision for Moth's Blood. It is turned in. I am safe and sound. Yes, I'm a little bit, tiny bit anxious that I didn't do a good job, but that is par for the course. I'm just always gonna feel that way every single time. I have this like insane urge every time I like turn in work or show writing or revisions to anyone in publishing, like my agent, my editors, anyone. I'm just like, I want an A. I want a gold star. I want it so bad, and it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, hello, this is now the outro of this video, and yes, we're gonna take a little minute to like celebrate the fact that I've turned in another revision on time, and I think I did okay. I don't know. There was less to do this time around, which inevitably makes me feel like I didn't do enough, but I think I did what I was asked to and a little bit more. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that for the past week, I have been cosplaying as a full-time author, and I wanted to reflect a little bit on that experience because I don't get many opportunities to act like this, behave like this. It was relatively unique for me. There are things that I can look back on already and be like, I probably should have been better about that, and things that I'm like, hey, that was pretty interesting. That went really well. So let's start with the things that I think I could maybe, you know, if I'm ever in this position again, things that I could do better at. Definitely time management. If I'm being 100% honest with myself, I don't think I write very well in outside spaces, but I also don't think I write very well at home. Both places are too distracting for me, so I've been considering like revamping my office space here for a while. It's actually a spare bedroom in the house I live in and do not pay rent at, and it is not my house. It is my partner's family's house. Just making this room feel a little bit more like an office might be helpful, but in general, I'm very space oriented. I think that like a coffee place might be a little bit too fun, might be a little too busy, might be a little bit too crowded for me to work a lot of the time. And it could be very mood dependent. It is very possible that this week was just a week in which the outside world was a no-go for me. And I mean, like I had that one day where I was talking to Cody and I was just doing really well in a coffee shop, but the rest of the time, no, it just wasn't happening. That being said, overall, I do think my motivation to like just sit down, park my butt down and get work done this week was just like not really there. Imposing the deadline helped a lot. I'm someone who thrives on deadlines. I do my best work under pressure, frankly, which is I think part of the reason I've made it this far in life. Yeah, overall I could just really feel that like my motivation was trickling because I just did not want to be doing this revision, if I'm going to be completely honest. I still love this project, but I have needed my space from Moth's Blood for some time now, and I'm so excited to be getting that space again, if only for a little bit, because there's other stuff I want to write. I feel this immense pressure to be like putting out the next thing, growing as an artist, and although the work that it takes to improve a book through revision, through editing, that very much does contribute to you growing as an artist and also like improving a book that's going to go out into the world. Yes, it's all important work, but also I cannot help but feel this sense of stagnation because I just haven't worked on anything new in so long other than like random short stories and essays here and there. I am excited to take what I've learned from Moth's Blood and the process of writing and revising it and going through TradPub and put all of that experience and all of those lessons into a new book and see how strong it can be. It has nothing to do with how I feel about the book. It has everything to do with how restless I feel creatively right now. But yeah, motivation to work on Moths was not there today. I did cheat on her a couple times by just like opening up crypts and looking longingly at my first chapter, but we're not going to talk about that. One of the big benefits I noticed from being able to more or less fully concentrate on writing and creativity, with the exception of social media, basically like not having anything like school or teaching eat up my brain power and my thinking time, my mental energy, my creative energy, was that like, yeah, I could really notice a difference in my problem solving, and even just noticed this difference in how I was able to
to analyze my own work. Like, my critical eye, I think, got sharper, it got stronger. I was picking up on things that I hadn't been able to pick up on previously, because every other time I've revised this book, I have been under so much duress. I was revising the brunt of the revision that I did with my editor. Like, the major revision that I did with my editor completely coincided with my semester of student teaching, where I was 40 hours a week student teaching, working a part-time job, doing YouTube and content creation. I was also working on this like massive revision. The difference between how tired I was during that time and now is like incomprehensible. It's a massive amount, but there's also just this noticeable difference in how much like mental energy I was able to expend just thinking about this book. Like, thinking about this book when I wasn't directly staring at the document open on my monitor, I was able to like think through problems and solve problems and consider new angles in a way that just hasn't been possible for me recently. So I think there is definitely a lot to be said about how much extra energy you have for your creative pursuits and how much brain power and thinking time and all that stuff that you don't really think of as the work, because it's not, you know, billable hours or whatever in most jobs, but is very much the work when it comes to writing. And yeah, I mean, of course it was fun to like hop around at different cafes and buy a million books for no reason and then call them a business expense and just like have fun as an author too. I'm really glad that I had that experience of like talking to a local bookseller. I think that's a really underrated part of being an author, is like connecting with bookish people in your community, and that's all stuff that I consider par for the course as being an author. There's so much more to it than just like sitting at your computer and writing, although yes, that's a huge part of it as well. But all that like brainstorming and daydreaming and community connection and reading. I read a lot this week. It was really, really wonderful, and it really helped me keep the momentum to go back into the document that I was starting to hate every day and keep working and try to push my book to be as good as the books I was reading. In an ideal world where I didn't have to worry about like health insurance because I live in the United States and it's a nightmare here, and I didn't have to worry about money, like let's say that I got paid, you know, not a crazy amount, but a decent amount every month. I got a check every month for a certain amount that covered my living expenses and a little extra to be a full-time author. Like, yeah, I would obviously do that. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is I have a very expensive degree in another field. I love my day job, and I'm really excited to do it finally after all this time spent studying to do it and doing it unpaid. Not that I can complain, because like the unpaid stuff was the best part of the program and like one of the greatest experiences of my life. Where am I going? Okay. And also like just the logistical considerations of income and healthcare and like supporting myself, being an adult, you know, going to the dentist. I haven't done that in like 2 years. There are a lot of really compelling reasons for me personally to not pursue full-time writing, and it's unfortunate, but also at the same time, I am very lucky that I have a job that, while it is very high intensity and very energy consuming, it also gives me a lot of inspiration. It's just so fun to watch people, even if they're like smaller people, younger people, see what they're like and how they interact and stuff like that, and it's a very fulfilling job for me as well. So yeah, I do consider myself really fortunate that at least I love my day job. This was a really fun experiment, and I did go into teaching partially because you get a fair amount of vacation time, especially long interrupted chunks of it. Those will be the times of my life where I get to be a full-time author. Otherwise, for now, this was just an experiment, and it was a really fun experiment. But I do go back to school tomorrow, so it's back to reality. Thank you so much for watching this video. I can already tell this is going to be a really long one because I was yapping so much more than usual. I think this like microphone is making me maybe evil. I don't know, but I love it, and I really love the convenience of it. If you're interested in more videos about publishing, about writing, about my experiences with those two things, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm also on Instagram as lynndjung. I do live writing sprints. I write essays. My debut novel is coming out in about 1.5 years, which is terrifying, but I will document the experience. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you've made it this far in this very long video, I don't know, I guess drop a sun emoji because it's summer and it's warm and I actually haven't seen the sun and blue skies in a little while because of the wildfires. But I hope you are all staying safe and warm and cozy, and that you're able to get a good amount of writing done this week. I love you all. See you next time.